in the shade. Nice. It was a fantastic.
Kind of mountainy place, huh?
Yeah.
So it was nice and cool. Yeah.
North Alabama.
But it's North Alabama.
It was pretty.
Okay.
Couldn't have asked for better.
That's good.
You are now live.
Okay. If everyone will check your mics, appreciate it. Welcome to our July 1st board meeting. Appreciate each one of you being here this morning and participating. As always, if you would, just take a second to put your cell phone on silent, would be appreciated. And we'll open up with a word of prayer along with the pledge, and prayer will be opened by the Election Commissioner, District 5, Mr. Leroy Lacey. So, Mr. Lacey, would you please come up and lead us in prayer? And everyone please stand, please. Mr. Lacey?
Our Father, which art in heaven, we come now this morning, first of all, just say thank you. Thank you, God, for life itself. Thank you, God, for this assembly here, this Board of Supervisors. We pray, God, that the decisions that they make would affect the county, that they do it in your name. Oh, God, we're praying for this magic county. We're praying for this state of Mississippi. We ask, God, you go with them, keep your arms around them, that they'll make decisions, God, that will help all of us in Madison County. These and other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Will?
Yes, sir. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Lott?
Yes, Mr. President, you should have before you the June the 17th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes for the board to please approve said minutes.
Are there any changes? If not, do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Supervisor Griffin, second by
Second.
Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Concerned citizens? Greg?
No names on the list, sir, only the two from the agenda.
Okay, we have two on here. Mr. and Mrs. Kinder?
Kinda.
Are they in the, if you would, just,
y'all come on up to the podium here.
both of y'all please come up and state your name, give your address, and a couple of minutes to the board, please.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
My name is Sharon Kiner. This is Victor Kiner, my husband. We were just coming and see can we get some help on the flooding that that's taking place at our house.
Give us that address, Ms. Connie.
2337 Highway 16 East, and that's Ken.
Okay. You got some pictures that you might want to show.
You have some pictures.
If you did what I did, I had Mr. and Mrs. Kiner to come to our board meeting to see is there anything that we could assist them in any way. They live out 16 East, right past Sharon Road.
Before you get to Sharon
Before
Road.
you get to Sharon, right before you get to Sharon Road. And y'all been there how long?
We've been there since 2005.
2005?
And the first time that water ever got up in the house was probably about 2013.
Okay, and how many times since then do you know?
It got in there in 2013, 16, 17, and then the last time it got in there was the 2022.
22.
That's the last time it got up in there.
Okay. And what this is, I haven't checked it, but I'm pretty sure our zoning department wouldn't have let it build if it was a flood zone. And basically what I'm gonna ask is, Albert or anybody on this board got any suggestion that we can refer these people to get some help for that water coming down behind their house and then it end up flooding all around the house, trying to cross 16.
Trying to cross Sherman Road. We'll be trying to cross Sherman Road.
Oh, it goes back that way?
Yeah, it's supposed to cross Sherman Road, but I think it's maybe where they had the creeks and stuff that's going back there. I don't know if they didn't build up, trees and grow in them or something, but there's some bridges on Sherman Road that it should have had been running out on. But when we get a good rain and stuff, we have to watch the back of the land to tell whether the water gonna come up.
Let me understand you right then. So you saying the water come across 16 underneath the bridge?
Everything on the
16
opposite
first?
side of us, all the water on the opposite side of us flow down in that creek. And it's supposed to go on back and it should be routed out to that bridge on Sherman Road. It's a bridge on Sherman Road. It should keep flowing and go out that bridge on Sherman Road, but
Somewhere or the other is not
something
getting
to
it
happen,
fast.
yeah.
Which side of 16? Are you on the south side of 16 or north side?
If they going toward Farm Haven, they're on the right.
South side.
South side.
Okay, okay. And your neighbor, you got a couple of neighbors, they having the same problem?
Nobody in the neighborhood flooded.
It goes up a hill. It goes up a hill.
So you lived there for 8 years and you never
8
saw any of
years
this water?
and never had a
Like,
flood
it one day, water just started
coming up.
up. Was there any construction or neighborhoods or
Not that I
big
know of.
parking lots built at that time anywhere
I
near
don't
y'all?
know of.
So it just, 2012, no problems with water flowing. 2013, you have a pond in your
It got
house.
in the house, yeah.
Supervisor Griffin has,
And we checked with the insurance company,
Yeah,
because people was saying after we built that it was a flood zone, but back then the insurance company told us it wasn't even a flood zone.
yeah.
of course, Scott Weeks could help you with that, I think. Just check and see if it's in a flood zone or not, but apparently you've
It
settled that.
wasn't when we moved back. When we first moved in there, all the insurance company that we was talking to that was looking it up, they said it wasn't a flood zone.
Okay.
And I don't know, sometime loggers go in and cut timber and kind of clog up the ditches.
Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with any loggers going in anywhere around. So I was just kind of stuck on how to help these folks. And that's why I had them come here to see could we put all the minds together, seeing anything we can do for them.
Has Tim taken a look at it?
Yeah, I would ask our county engineer to just go out and look and see what he may see.
Yeah, is it possible we have a drone or something we could fly
Yeah.
up and see if there's just anything that just sticks out as, hey, there's a beaver dam that got built.
Right.
And
That's right.
it needs to get taken care of.
Little Albert, you got a drone working?
Yeah, myself and Seth, we'll put our drones up and look over the whole area and see where the creeks actually run and see if we got any kind of obstruction up in them.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be right now might not be the perfect time of year to do this, with all the fresh foliage and everything in the tree
Yeah,
cover.
leaves and stuff.
And I'd hate for your house to flood again before then, but and it's worth doing now, but it also might be worth doing again in the fall when you can see a little better too, if we don't have an obvious resolution right now.
That's right. Okay.
Tim, you and Albert, can y'all work with them? If you will, give y'all information to Little Albert and Tim Bryan back here standing by the door with the coffee in his hand.
Okay,
And they gonna get with y'all
all right.
and come out and see can they, see any structure, or Tim might be able to tell you whether you're in, flood zone and you saying that you're not.
I mean, it may be a flood zone now, but it wasn't when we first built.
Yeah.
Right.
We just trying to help you on anything we can.
Okay,
All right.
all right, thank
Thank you
y'all.
for
Thank
your
y'all.
time.
Thank you.
Next on the concern list is Meredith Lee with MEMA. Meredith?
What those pictures at?
Should be on this.
Ronnie's got them.
Hey, Miss Connie, y'all want your pictures or do y'all need to keep them? Yeah.
Meredith, if you will, just state your name and who you're with, and I know you're looking at 4 or 5 minutes to kind of give us an update because it's something
Correct.
new to the board, so.
All right, good morning. My name is Meredith Lee. I'm with Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. I work in the Office of Housing and Individual Assistance. I'm here to talk today about setting up a long-term recovery committee here in Madison County. At MEMA, so far in the state of Mississippi, we have set up 45 long-term recovery committees in the state. I want to talk to you, because we never know when a natural disaster is going to happen. And when it happens, there's so many people that are not insured for enough money or no insurance. We all know in April, we had the storm that came through and it did get declared. And we are, FEMA is in town now taking care of the ones there. But there's a lot of times the storms that don't get declared and the people have nowhere to go. So we came together at MEMA and we've set these up. Now, what we're asking is, yes, we can get, nonprofits and all that together, but in each district, you have different organizations or different faith bases. To set up a long-term recovery, you can have faith-based organizations, you can have nonprofits, you can have people with businesses who want to be involved. But we're asking for each district to nominate at least 2 to 3 people in your district, because it may happen in District 5 today. And we help these people, but in the next time it may happen in District 2. So if we have each district that can come up with people that help and serve on these boards, it would help organize and form this. A lot of people ask, well, why do we need to form this? Well, we have a lot of people, different churches that do it, and then they'll help them, and then they'll go to another church and get the same help. So that way you don't double dip or multiply it. We want to get everyone together. The legislator has set funds for long-term recovery committees. Is up to $250,000 for non-declared disasters, and it's for building materials only. With that being said, you would have to have volunteers and stuff to come together. Now, we as local people, you have your Methodists and your Baptists. That is a local level. The local level can reach up to the state level, which is the state level of their, faith base, which can reach up to national level. But to have all that to come together, you have to have the local level, be formed. Right. So we come in together to ask, everyone to think about this, because it's something Madison County really needs. We see it more and more often, just like the man about the home that got flooded. We know it's going to continue, to figure out other problem, but with these organizations, they can help people with non-declared disasters. That's Salvation Army, Red Cross. We have so many different things, but to have that, you also need a 501c3. Now, a lot of people is like, oh, we have plenty of 501c3s. Well, one thing you want to think about when you have the 501c3 is be a reputable 501c3 and have a grant writer. Now, we can't recommend who you use, but we can tell you who a lot of people do use. And, some churches don't want to donate to other churches, so keep that in mind. But you have United Way of Jackson, who does cover this area, and they do help out with long-term recovery committees in other counties. Any questions so far?
So basically what I'm hearing you say is that these funds have been allocated.
Yes, sir.
Up to $250,000 for nonprofits, if they qualify, to help people that may not have insurance.
Correct.
Or may have insurance but not have enough insurance.
Correct.
For the supplies that
Correct.
they may need.
Right, building supplies. It only pays for building supplies. It doesn't pay for the labor. So if we have, let's say the last storm we've had here, I think it was like 15 people that was no insurance or underinsured. If we didn't get this declaration, then the funds could have been requested, and it could have helped pay for the materials. And then you could have gotten volunteers and nonprofits and everybody come together and help repair these homes to make them whole again.
And the money would be spent towards the material.
Materials only, no administrative cost.
Okay, and what you're asking us is to join, to sign up.
Correct.
To join, and have a person or two on the committees in each district to be prepared when a disaster comes through if someone qualifies.
Correct.
For that
Right.
money.
Correct.
Am I following you?
No, you're following me correctly. And the one thing we want to think about it is and everybody's like, well, why each district? Well, physically, we don't want, you have to make every meeting, but if you can get someone out of your district that that's there that can join that, they can also make sure your district's also giving reports back to how it's doing out there in that area.
Okay, and we would, I guess, find a place for MEMA to set up
So,
during that time, or?
So what we do ask is that we would need a building to meet at, and once everybody elects, some people to serve on the board, then I will have the meeting to have how to set it up and get it forming, and then they can choose where to go be set up after that. But we just need a formal place to meet at to get that started.
Okay, are there other questions to Meredith? If not, I would like to hear from Albert, because, have you talked with Albert?
Yes, sir.
Is Albert back there? Albert, come up and give us your thoughts on this.
I think it's a good idea, especially when we have storms and we don't meet the threshold. It'll be good for each district to actually get help. So I done talked with Ms. Lee several times about it, and I told her that, I was on board with it, but, I had to go through my board to see, are they on board? So that's why I asked her today, could she come and just brief y'all on what it's about? But
I did not hear cost, so apparently there's not a cost to Madison County,
not to my knowledge.
with the exception of furnishing a building or
Yes.
a room, not a building, but a room in a building.
And where my office is, once if you all do approve it, my building is open. Like I said, I have a big classroom in the back so that we could actually meet and it won't be a problem.
Okay. Are there other questions to Albert? Greg, have you?
This $200,000 that are allotted for this, is this for the whole state of Mississippi, or this would be for Madison County?
So the $250,000 is per disaster for this county. So if, let's say, a storm happens tomorrow and we have a long-term recovery committee set up, it can be allotted $250 per disaster that can be used. Now, the one thing I want to reiterate is MEMA's connection is to the county. So when a long-term recovery committee is set up, they will do case management and figure out how much everything costs in each home. They will get the estimates together and they will send it to Albert. Albert then will send that to me. We'll go through it, make sure it's building materials only. That check will be released to the Board of Supervisors and Albert, and that will be turned over to the nonprofit.
Right.
I included in your little packet a example of a MOU because I recommend, always having an MOU with the 501c3 that you do select. And that's the reason why we really do want to come here to the board is because, it's important to know what's going on in your community and how big this is because this is local. What happens local stays local. Once FEMA leaves, everything still stays local. So if they don't get the help, then, a lot of people is left homeless and you can lose people within your communities.
Meredith, did I hear you say that the county does not have to be declared as a disaster, or does it have to be declared?
So if it's declared by FEMA, then this funding cannot be used. This is only for non-declared disasters.
Undeclared?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we have more non-declared disasters than we do anything. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And, and it helps also too, when Albert, when they call his office, and he could tell you too, he gets calls from citizens that have, a lot of damage to their homes.
Right.
And if it's not declared, then they're left trying to figure out how they're gonna, how they're gonna get help. And then you get citizens that can either lose their homes or move out of this county.
Yeah. Greg, have you looked at this as well, you and Albert?
I have discussed it with Albert. I believe there is some merit. We do already have, as Ms. Lee mentioned, quite a few 501c3s working in this area. So I think that probably warrants a little further exploration as far as picking the 501c3, simply because there are those that are already operating. The one that immediately springs to mind is the American Red Cross, which statutorily this board already has authority to donate to and works with on other disaster efforts. So I think it makes sense. I just think that there needs to be a little more exploration of the people involved.
Yeah, once approved.
Like you said, Red Cross, and they are actually, we do invite them to sit at the tables, because sometimes, Red Cross does come in right here at the beginning. They help people right when it happens, and they give them, maybe a hotel or something.
Right.
But one thing with the Red Cross, you want to make sure that when there's money is donated, it's allotted for this recovery only, so that the money doesn't go up nationally.
Okay. Are there questions from the board? If not, any discussion? I'd make a motion for approval.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Discussions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? I just worked with Greg and Albert.
And give them the names to him, and then once I get all the names together, I will set up a meeting, and I can go over it, and we give you an update whenever we get it going.
And that's the names per district,
Correct,
1 or 2.
correct.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next we have is consent items. Are there anyone else on the, anyone else as far as concerned citizen? Greg?
Not on my list, no, sir.
Okay. Consent items, are there any should be removed on the consent items? If not, do I have a motion for approval?
Move on the consent.
Got a motion from Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Next, we have the business item, starting with our tax assessor, Mr. Kennedy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am here to present the 2024 tax roll and discuss the current assessed value captured in Madison County for 2024. As we do every year, the rolls are made available online on the county website. And over here to my left, we always place a hard copy of the tax roll, so it's available to the public for inspection purposes. As required by law under 273581 statute, I have prepared all necessary documents and filed them timely with the clerk of the board, including required affidavits to be completed with each roll. And at this time, I would like to pass out a couple of handouts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Take one and pass.
So what you have before you is a summary page reflecting the 2024 assessed value information, and it's a 5-year comparison. The numbers related to 2024 are at the far right of the document. And as you can see, Madison County has once again experienced a year of solid growth, currently ranking in the top 5 value counties in Mississippi based on the Department of Revenue's 2023 class of counties report. The tax assessor's office maintains the tax rolls for Class 1 and Class 2 real property and Class 3 personal property. For real property, which is the first column, both Class 1 and 2 combined, Madison County currently has an assessed value of $1,465,573,390. And this is $41.7 million more than the previous year's assessed value. Class 3 personal property currently has an assessed value of $321,198,940, which represents an increase of approximately $2.1 million in assessed value from the 2023 tax roll. The second document I gave you, in the past, we've had questions on the classes of property. We deal with 5 classes of property, so I thought that would be helpful just to show what falls within each class, and then I added the ratio as well on how they, the assessment ratio, which is part of the tax formula. The values from the next 2 categories are determined from reports provided by the Collector's Office, which are based on collections over the previous year. Class 4 public utilities assessed values are set by the Department of Revenue each year, and the assessed value for public utilities is currently $83,369,596. And Class 5, which are automobiles and mobile homes, the assessed value from the collector's report for automobiles and mobile homes is $333,792,964. The total true value for the preliminary 2024 tax roll is $15.7 billion, and the total assessed value is $2,203,934,890. Now, last year was the first year we were over $2 billion in this county. The assessed value has increased by approximately $72 million since the 2023 tax roll, and this reflects a 3.4% rate of growth for the overall assessed value from 2023 to 2024. The tax roll currently includes 58,217 real property parcels, 4,786 personal property accounts. We processed 2,858 homestead applications between January 1 and April 1 of this year. We also added 675 new homes and now have 29,402 homestead accounts. That's what I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
So our growth overall is 3.4%.
Yes, sir.
That's great. We're continuing to grow, continuing to help the county. If you would, maybe talk a little bit about the utilities, Class 4.
Public utilities. That's, one good example is like the new Entergy facility in Flora. Public utilities are handled by the Department of Revenue. They value them and then turn that information into the collector's office, and we report off of that information. But
Are there questions to the tax assessor? Mr. Kennedy, as always, it's good. Of course, I know I have a motion here that I'm going to read that you provided, for this. Are there other questions for the tax assessor? Okay, if not, I'm going to read a motion then to acknowledge receipt of the real and personal property tax rolls for 2024 for Madison County, and to adopt and enter the July order, and to further authorize the equalization process to be conducted at each and every board meeting in the month of July 2024, conducted thereafter. Fourth is to establish August the 5th, 2024, as the date the board will entertain and consider objections to said rolls. Set said date as the deadline for the filing of written protests with the clerk, and advertise the same in the Madison County Journal for August the 5th, 2024, and rolls to be available for public inspection in the boardroom of the Chancery Administration Building. 5, to accept the assessor's affidavit of the personal roll and the assessor's affidavit of the real roll, as well as the draft recapitulation sheet. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. Again, Norman, this is good news. We look forward to it every July or around this time, because we work hard, all of us together, and as elected officials, department heads, to continue to grow.
definitely, it's been another solid year, as I mentioned, and I would like to say the staff has worked extremely hard this year. I'm very proud of everybody. It takes teamwork, for sure.
It does.
Yeah.
All right, if not, have a motion on the table, have a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Okay, next we have is item 52, First Church of Canton. Are there someone here to represent the church, First Church of Canton? Anyone on the board or the attorney, administrator? Mike, have you had a chance to look at this?
Yes, I did. They qualify as a church. It's a church and a parsonage. So they're asking for a tax exemption for 2 parcels, one for the church, one for the parsonage.
Okay.
And they qualify in all respects.
Move.
Got a motion from Supervisor Banks to approve the tax exemption for item 52, or you want to take both at one time?
Excuse me.
Yeah,
You
take them
want to take
both.
both at one time? Okay, we're going to take both items, 52 and 53, which is dealing with First Church of Canton. Can I have a motion Supervisor Banks to have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Griffin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, next we got another tax request tax exemption for PPIN number 13519. What's that? Naomi, Mississippi? Anyone here to represent them? Mike, you had a chance to look at this?
Not so much. This is a little more complicated.
Yeah, I see that.
We should hold this and talk to Mr. Canada.
Okay, anyone on the board have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion to table it to the
Move.
next board meeting?
Move
Got a
table.
motion Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Next we have on the agenda is friend of the board, Mr. John Wallace,
All right.
Madison County Historic Courthouse Committee, President, Chairman.
I hope we have friends
Yeah.
on the board.
Yes, sir.
We'll be asking a lot. Before we actually get into that one thing I'm going to request, a little trivia question. And we may not get time to answer it today, but maybe the next time. All right, I'm going to read that to you. Think about it. Why do you think your predecessors, the Board of Police, nearly 200 years ago, decided to build a courthouse right in the middle of Canton? Why do you think your predecessors, the Board of Police, nearly 200 years ago, decided to build a courthouse right in the middle of Canton? Okay? All right, we're going to try to answer that. Now, if you watch TV for the last week, you know us old folks have trouble when we don't read our notes and we try to just talk extemporaneously. So I've been instructed to reduce my 30-minute dissertation down quite a bit, but I'm still going to have to use my notes to do that. Seriously. As you know, several months ago, we were asked to head up this committee that you mentioned, Mr. Steen. And we have done that, but not without the, well, initially, we were convinced, because everybody said we were going to have that, is a museum in the old courthouse to depict the history of Madison County. So Greg and I goes down to the archives and history and meet with the director and the staff to get their assistance in helping us set up a museum in the courthouse. And it didn't take long before that idea was completely dispelled as being very unwise, since museums have become far too costly to operate and maintain, and few people come to a standalone museum. So you've got to have, if you're going to have a museum, you've got to have other reasons for the people to be there. So we scratched that idea and said, okay, what's the next best thing? Well, the next best thing was to put together a committee to help decide what the best interest of the county was and what the best use of the courthouse was. And so we said, well, let's get a few people from around the county to offer some suggestions. And then we realized that this is not an issue for novices. This is a really serious issue as to what and how you're going to use the old courthouse. So we then said, well, okay, we've got to have some learned, experienced people in this particular field to offer us some suggestions and come up with a conclusion. So not knowing a whole lot of people in that category, I did know somebody that knows somebody in that. So we asked Joanne Gordon, who knows everybody in Madison County, to help us come up with a committee of learned, experienced people in this field of using these historic buildings. And so we did come up with 5, and we presented those, if you recall, several months ago. One of those committee members, who is a key part of it, is Mr. Ken Papu. Ken, would you stand up? Ken was the deputy director of Archives and History for several years. He's retired now, and he does volunteer work still with Archives, and he was just delighted to be asked to join in on that committee to decide what to do. Kent spent a good bit of time in Canton, and he knows the courthouse extremely well. So we're happy to have him today, even though we've got 4 other members that were not able to make it today.
Well, we're going to ask each one of those members to come up anyway, and just be recognized.
Yes.
At your.
Yes. Okay. So the committee then has been working diligently to come up with a recommendation to the board as to what the best and most practical use for the courthouse was. Well, since the idea of a physical museum was dismissed, what was one of the next best things? You ever hear of a digital museum? A digital museum? A virtual museum? Well, kiosk. Today's world, kiosks are everywhere you go. The airport. If you go to the airport, you go at the kiosk, get your ticket to go. But many other uses of a kiosk. And a kiosk is simply a computer with a big screen that you can program with all of the historical information or whatever else you come up with as far as what do you want people to see and know about Madison County and Madison County's past, and even present if you want to. So that was the recommendation. And we also had one of the most learned people, I would say, in that field to join us for our last meeting, where we were going to talk about how to use kiosks. And he has, I'm going to say, worldwide experience in this category of presenting such things with kiosks at World's Fairs and other things. So, Mr. Bud Holloman, would you stand up? And Bud is an expert in that field, and he has agreed to help us with this as a consultant. But so then after you decide what you're going to use to display or present the history, you've got to come up with that information to put in there, which is one of the harder parts, is going out and finding all of this information, digging it up, presenting it in a way that's acceptable to the people who are going to see it. And we have the #1 person in Mississippi that's done more projects than anybody else in this particular field, is Miss Jean Luckett. Jean is very familiar with Madison County. She's been around a long time, and is just delighted to be able to help us with this in this category. So that's our 2 main experts in the field, if you will, that we're to that point now. So now we've decided what we're going to do with the facilities. Then comes the question, how do you entice people to come to the courthouse? That's probably as important as anything, is you got to get people there. You can have all the information in the world. If there's nobody there to view it or see it, then it's no value. So in that regard, here's what's recommended. The courthouse has its own value just to come to the courthouse itself. So if you make it usable for organizations, businesses, schools, history classes, clubs, all the organizations that need a place to come meet or to make a presentation and so forth, make it available when you go through the renovation process, as we've talked about, of some of the things that need to be done. You set it up almost like a mini conference center, but we're going to call it a learning center, and make it available for those who want to learn more about Madison County, but also make it available to those who want to use it for educating or business meeting or whatever else for their own organization, whatever that organization is. So if we go with the point of developing the information, which is it's not a short-term process, you understand that, because all of you may be interviewed for what your knowledge of Madison County is, for example. And then you make that available to whoever comes to the courthouse. Let's say somebody's there for a business conference of some type. During the breaks and so forth, they can, if they're interested, can go to the kiosk and learn more about Madison County. Or you can just come as a history class from Velma Jackson or down Madison Ridge or whatever, and you bring your class there, and you can go through all day if you want to, or all the history that's been accumulated and made available virtually or digitally. So that's where we stand right now as far as our short-term version of what we're recommending that you consider, and that if you approve and condone and whatever, then we're all ready to actually make it happen. That's kind of where we are. So I'm going to ask you to take that in consideration and give us the go-ahead to go to the next step, and that is to start the process along with Greg's talking about the work that's got to be done on the courthouse itself, and combine that then to make it usable for what we want to use it for in the light of the fact that there's work that has to be done anyway, right? So I won't my dissertation on the question I asked is a little longer probably than you want to hear, so we're going to save that for next time. But think about it as to why in the world would you build a courthouse in the middle of a town, okay? That's all I have, Mr. Steen, unless you have some questions.
Appreciate the update, and we do want to bring each one of the board members up, or each one that's going to participate in this. And if you will, let's do that now and just
Okay.
Introduce each one again.
Ken Papool,
And he is
retired from Archives and History, and he's a very knowledgeable of Madison County and of the Madison County Courthouse. Spent a lot of time in Canton. Lived in Canton, as a matter of fact, at one time. Joanne is just invaluable in contacting people that are in this field that can help us with that. Gene Luckett is the absolute top of the line as far as presenting this. I swear, if you had her list of accomplishments and so forth, it would take us about 30 minutes just to read those off.
right.
But we'll make them available if you want to. And then Bud has untold experience in setting up these types of things using the kiosk as a means of presenting the information. So this is our team, for what it was worth, in addition to the other members of the committee.
Good team, and
Yep.
and from what I understand, thank y'all for serving. Thank y'all for serving Madison County and participating in this project, because it's very important to Madison County to make this the very best that we can make use of the courthouse to serve the people of Madison County.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, what you're asking, but first of all, I guess the rooms.
The concept. Number one is the
would
concept,
be-
right? And then it's, in effect, hiring two professionals to aid in putting this plan together. You won't find any better in that particular field of work.
All right, I got a motion to move forward with the concept. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion, got a second, discussion, and from what I understand, that the concept to be is for the history to be in the courthouse on the
First floor,
on the bottom floor, or the level floor,
right.
and then the conference center or the learning center would be upstairs.
Courtroom and all
In the old
the
courtroom.
adjoining rooms and so forth.
Okay, that is the concept.
Right.
Okay, good deal. Other questions from the board?
Go ahead. Joanne wants to make one comment, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Joe.
So I just want to reiterate what John says. We are able to pull together a scholar committee. We didn't just appoint, as he said, novices. This committee, and if you saw every one of their resumes, and just like Akin Papul, to have the status of someone like this, being able to work with us and give of his time and be interested. And he has so many stories to tell himself of the value of this courthouse. But with that being said, the Welcome Center, of course, is on the downtown square of Canton. You have no idea how many people we have that come through and go, and we watch them, and they try to get in those doors.
Right.
It's just going to be a wonderful asset just to tell the story of Madison County.
No
We
doubt.
haven't yet told that story.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Greg, if you would, I'd like to get a picture of the committee, just with them. Well, just them alone, if you will.
I'll stand this way and shoot
Yeah, that's right. Or you may want to go outside. It may be a better play. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Cover us up.
Yeah.
We messed the picture up. Cover
That's,
us up.
And this is all of the committee.
that's okay. That's who's up here today.
Don't think we're
Let
gonna
me
have to
cover up
see
here.
you.
That's it, yeah. Yeah.
All right, y'all. And let me figure out how it works. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Good deal. Thank you, Greg.
Good.
Mr. Wallace? Appreciate you as always for heading this committee up, because it is a long-term
Yeah.
project, and we all understand that, but we have to get started. And you have.
Got something to say there. Jim.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank everyone for participating and helping John out. But this is a so important project because we have so many young people in Madison County that were born here and don't know much about the county they're born in. And just like the tax assessor just presented us with that new tax roll, we got a big amount of people moving into Madison County and don't know nothing about it. Nothing about its history.
We hadn't carried the
So
vote yet.
I think it's gonna be a great positive thing to have that. And whoever came up with that idea, we gonna give it all to the committee. A great idea.
That's right.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
That was another, that mentioned the hiring of two people, Greg.
Don't have proposals quite yet. Those are the two that Mr. Wallace mentioned, but the first part here is get the blessing of the concept, and then they can come back with proposals, and we can figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Great.
Next, we have on our list is Reverend Leroy Lacy, Election Commissioner, District 5.
Morning, Mr. President, esteemed board, my president, my supervisor, Mr. Griffin, all the rest of the board. I'm here today to ask for a long time thing that we have been trying to do is to split some of Fairview precinct out, and I think we've got it done. I'm here to ask you all to approval for the boundary lines of Deerfield precinct here. It's going to affect about 2,000 to 2,500 voters that's going to be moved from Fairview until Deerfield here. We're going to name it Precinct 529. So I need this approval in order to get it to Miss Ray in order so we can get new voters cards out. So I need y'all's help.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? And just for discussion, I guess it's mostly voters in District 5 that will be moving?
Yes, now it is.
Now it is?
Yeah, we gonna put all District 2 out pretty soon. Out of Fairview.
Okay.
I mean, all of the splits will still be in Fairview. This won't be a split in Deerfield. It'll be a solid vote.
Okay.
Is this being done because there are too many
Overcrowded.
voters and it's just hard to get in and vote and parking is bad, so you're just kind of splitting it off and?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have about 5,600 voters in Fairview, and it's getting a little complicated over there for traffic. I've had to have the sheriffs over there on most election to try to direct traffic, and
Glad to know
the
that
citizens or
I love when people get out and do their
Right.
civic duty and
Right.
vote.
Right.
And they shouldn't be hindered, so.
Right.
good
This is the closest place we could go without any problems.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Leroy. Next we on the list is Tim, County Engineer.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
First item I have for you is a cooperation agreement between the county and Flora. There was a cooperation agreement done in 2023 for the city of Flora, the town of Flora, to have access to our term bid to pave some roads in Flora. After that cooperation agreement, they were $22,430.24 to the good. They've asked to include an additional road. So this new interlocal is for that amount, and it will be to pave Monroe Street using our term bid, which they will reimburse us for.
I move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second for Supervisor Baxter. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, next item is a preliminary plat for a subdivision, which is the subdivision of Lot 23A of what it would be Panther Creek if it was actually a recorded subdivision. Will become 3 lots on 18.02 acres with no public infrastructure.
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor, who said that? Griffin or Banks?
I did.
Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Baxter. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, next item is the final plat for the same subdivision.
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks. Second. I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, next item is a summary change order / claim for a project that has been on the books for quite a while. This is the Yandell Road Drainage Improvement Project. This is a project that started in 2021. We have gone back and forth with Hemp Hill Construction on this. There was some delays due to utility issues on the project, as well as some things with an unknown utility line. We had to get the Public Service Commission involved. It delayed the project several months and caused some increase in price, as well as delays to the contractor. There was some time involved in that, so it caused a increase in price as well as time of $93,766.07. So we asked that the board issue a summary change order for that amount to give a revised total cost of the project of $434,328.07.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Griffin. I'll second the motion, and Tim, this will clear everything up on
This
Yandell
will.
Road.
It will.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, and with that, next item will be to pay the final invoice for that project of $187,931.41.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Griffin. Do I have a second? Second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right.
Item 62.
Final item I have is a interlocal or a cooperation agreement between the county and the city of Gluckstadt for the portion of Stout Road that lies within the city of Gluckstadt. This would be for the county to come in and do some maintenance on that section of roadway. The county's got some subdivisions on the north side of that road that has caused some damage to the road, which is in the city limits, and that the city has asked us to help them maintain that section of roadway.
Do I have a motion? Motion Supervisor Banks. I'll second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you.
Give us an update on the bids on Bozeman, and did we settle are we finished with right-of-way, with Community Bank and all that?
I believe Mike has an item that's going to discuss the community bank issue. Bozeman Road is out for bids right now. We're going to accept bids, or we're going to receive bids on the 11th of July, and I'll be bringing that before the board on the 15th of July.
Okay.
And Tim, also an update within the next 2 weeks or 30 days on all three projects on that end as well.
Okay.
You know, within the next, maybe the next board meeting or within 30 days anyway on the Reunion Crossing Phase 3. And then again, we'll have an update on Bozeman by that time as well.
Okay,
So,
absolutely.
thank you.
All right.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
when is, you gonna have there for our engineer, excuse me, for the engineers on all our projects, bringing back, best engineers, a recommendation and all that type?
Those are scheduled to be, the proposals are scheduled to be in on July the 22nd. So we,
Next meeting is what, July what?
the next meeting will be the August,
So it'll be in August,
the first meeting in August. I can't remember exactly the date.
okay,
5th, August 5th then.
Thank you, Tim.
thanks.
The bids on the projects, the Bozeman Road projects, when does that,
Bozeman, those will be, well, I'll bring them to you, what'd I say, the 15th of July.
okay, good.
Okay? That's the next board meeting. All right. Any other questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim. Next, Mr. Weeks.
Mr. President, Board of Supervisors, good morning.
Morning.
Let me say one thing prior to me starting. The couple that was here about the flood. I did go over to the permit office, pulled that up, well, tried to pull it up. So apparently that house was probably built prior to 1998. So I would have to go back further and look in it. But I looked at the flood zone maps, and it does show it as Zone X, which
That means,
is not in the flood zone.
okay, good.
Anyway, getting started, first item, planning and zoning draft minutes, June 13th, 2024.
Do I have a motion for, do I have a motion for item 63? Got a motion Supervisor Banks, I'll second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next item, AWS, Amazon Data Services. This was a variance on parking, approved by planning and zoning, June 13th, 24.
Do I have a motion? Motion Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? Second Supervisor Brandon. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next item, preliminary plat, West Point Phase 1 and 2, South DeWeese Road, Supervisor District 2.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Baxter. Do I have a second? Second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Last item, preliminary plat, Mission Park Phase 1, South Gluckstadt Road, Supervisor District 2.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Baxter. Do I have a second? Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All I have.
Thank you,
Yes.
Scott. Mike?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Board. I've got two items under me. The first is item 67, the approval of an intent to raise a $2 million levy for the purpose of defraying the cost of operating the Farm Haven Fire District. The board will recall that back in May, a representative of Farm Haven Fire Protection District approached the board, talked about cost increase, need to raise more money, asked for a $2 million increase. I raised some concern and asked for a little time to look at this. I was primarily worried about the notice to the public. So I looked into it, and thank you, Mr. Griffin, for giving me that opportunity. I believe that the public will be noticed through your action today. So I've, for your review and approval, is a notice of intent to levy a $2 million increase to operate the Farm Haven Fire District. That'll take the millage from 10 mills to 12 mills. And so if you do this, we'll publish it in a newspaper for 21 days and post it conspicuously throughout the county, and the public will receive notice thereby. So I'm asking for approval of a notice of intent to levy, your intent to levy a $2 million increase for, to defray the cost of operating the Farm Haven Fire District, and then we'll publish it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Griffin, do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Banks, discussion. And if this moves further on down the road, then this would not go into effect until the next calendar year, which
That's
is
it.
October. Okay,
Yeah, go in effect on the budget year.
Yes.
First time, yeah.
yes. Okay,
All right.
any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed?
All right. So item 68, Bozeman Road right-of-way update. I want to ask the board, how much do you want me to say on the consent item number 10 are the details of a settlement agreement, which was signed by Judge Hannon after 3 years of litigation in this matter. The board's been fully informed in executive session at every iteration of this process, and the board gave approval of a settlement agreement. So it's signed, the judge signed it, it's been ordered, and it's printed in the consent agenda, item number 10. So I can go 2 minutes, I can go 20 minutes, I can go 2 hours.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, it was approved in the consent agenda, but you wanted to give an update, so I'll just hit the head notes.
Yeah, hit the high.
All right. So this was a contentious matter between this board and Community Bank over 3 years. The board filed a quick take lawsuit, I believe on April 12, 2021. Well, the board knew it wanted to expand the road at Bozeman Road at the 463 intersection. Now, we're talking about that patch of land where during political season, there's so many placards and political signs at that point. So that property is owned by Community Bank. The board needed a small sliver of land in order to enable it to widen that road to 4 lanes going north to Gluckstadt. The board did, doing its quick take deliberations, the board hired an appraiser. Our appraiser said the land was worth $181,000 and some change. Community Bank, the appraiser said it was worth $183,000 and some change. So, but that's really not what we were fighting about. It's only $2,000 difference between their appraisal and our appraisal.
Right.
So the judge agreed that we put in $181,000 in the court registry. We took that land to expand the road. But again, that was not the issue. Community Bank said that by taking that sliver, their land would be damaged approximately $1.6 million. Because once we expand the Bozeman Road, the MDOT authorities and those that designed the road said there was going to be a median separating the traffic going south from the traffic going north. And Community Bank decided that their land would be damaged because nobody could take a left turn out of that land onto to get to 463. And of course, there'll be a median there. And if there weren't a median there, there'd be tremendous traffic risks at that point because it's so near the intersection.
Right.
So our plan said there's only a right in and a right out of their land. And so that was the issue. They said it was worth 1.6 million. We said it was worth zero. All we're paying for is the 181,000. So that's the points of contention. But it took 3 years of litigation. The first trial was declared a mistrial because during the middle of it, a juror got COVID. So the jury had to be disbanded and the trial was terminated. It took about another year to get another trial. There was another trial that went to full term. We put on our experts about why there was no damage, and they put on their experts. The jury found in our favor completely. The jury said there was, Community Bank would get zero. In fact, they wrote zero, Z-E-R-O, on the jury form. But that was an error because they should have written 181,000 because that was the cost of what we were taking. So the judge declared that an error. So based on that error, we went to the Supreme Court twice. Supreme Court ruled against us because we just wanted the judge to clarify that it was a numerical error. But the Supreme Court said, no, you need a new trial, which is what the judge wanted. So it got kicked back to the Circuit Court of Madison County of eminent domain. And then the Community Bank said, well, if it's a new trial, we need new experts, which is new discovery. And the judge said no.
I'm not sure I would get all in that detail.
Okay, but the judge said no, then went back to Supreme Court, came back. So it's scheduled for a new trial. So in consideration of a third trial, the time it would take to do it, the board in its wisdom, I believe, with recommendations from the experts, decided to settle the case. And it's set forth in item 10 of the consent agenda. The settlement was for $450,000, which included the amount of money that we had already paid in of $181,270, which is the cost of the land we were taking. So if you could subtract 181,270 from 450, it's $268,730. And so that was a settlement agreement. Community Bank agreed to take the 230. The judge signed it. It's in the consent agenda today. And I think it's wise to do this because we want to go ahead and move on with the work at Bozeman Road and 463 to widen it, to cause ease traffic congestion and promote safety at that intersection. So you're doing this, you're preventing more delay, more court costs, more costs for lawyers, more costs for experts. And I think the settlement was recommended, approved, and I think it's a good outcome.
Good deal.
Any questions?
That's a good update.
Thank you.
So, appreciate it. We just all glad to have that behind us. And like I said, it's been going on 3 years. And from 1.6 million to 268, I think you said.
Yes.
You know, everybody thinks it's fair, and it passed 5-0 on the board to move forward.
Yes.
So, good deal. Thank you, Mike. Greg?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
I have 3 things for you this morning. Item 69 is a lease agreement with FEMA. This is for the space they are using in Albert's shop currently.
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Griffin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, item 70 is an order for the Mississippi State University Extension Service. They had an employee leave. We're not changing any of the finances. Everything will remain the same as it has been for at least as long as I've been here. So this is just an order for them to authorize them to hire someone in Madison County.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, second, Supervisor Griffin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, and the final item is a potential change order for the new court space in the old Fred's building. The gist of that change order is a request from an elected official to lower some walls, remove some cabinets, and raise countertops by 6 inches. This is not all that he has requested. This is all that is feasible, however. For example, the countertops can't go higher than 34 inches because of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It would be great if we could make them higher teller windows, but then you won't have workstations that are ADA compliant. The cost of each component, the lower in the walls, is about $57,000 plus furniture. That does include about $10,000 that is not listed on the change order because we have our own data wire pulling person. So to install data jacks, if we lower the walls, they'll have to come back in and rewire those, as well as potentially some new furniture. I don't have the cost on the furniture yet, but just the walls will be about 57. The cabinets and the counters, and again, we can only go up to 34 inches to comply with the ADA, will be about 24,000.
Motion to approve.
To approve what now?
The request of the $70,000, all those items that's shown.
Okay, and that is what you just went over?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second. Supervisor Brandon, discussion. All right, with that being said, we've got a motion on the table and a second. With all this being done, what kind of setback, if any at all, would that be?
We won't have furniture until July 18th, so as far as the opening date, I don't know that it pushes it too far, if at all.
Okay, so we'll still be in August?
By the end of September, yes, sir, because I suspect there may be one or two other little things we have to work on between now and then.
Okay.
But the original construction date, the original date to be completed with construction was the end of September. And based on what was originally in the plans, that building is done.
Yeah.
They are finished. Final walkthrough will probably be tomorrow, depending on the outcome of this change order. And even with the change order, we can still do the walkthrough for everything else. And it is gorgeous.
Okay, and with this, if this passes, then can anyone else, other agencies move in before this is finished, or would we just hold off and finish this if it passes before anyone else moves in?
We probably wouldn't move anybody else in until the construction portion was done, just to avoid noise and interference. The election commission is right there off the back of the collector's office, so if they're going to be tearing down drywall, it's going to be loud.
Yeah.
So I would say we probably wouldn't move anybody in before then.
Okay, good deal. Other questions? If not, we have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes, and if you would, just let everyone else, the other elected officials that are planning to move in, know what's going on. Just communicate with them as well.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Nasan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Item number 72 is the approval of the budget amendments and the interfund cash transfer.
I got a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 73.
Item 73 through 75 is a general claims docket and 2 payroll dockets.
Do I have a motion?
Move on the payroll.
Motion Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Griffin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ms. Banks, item 76, please.
Okay. Item 76, approval of legal.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion on approve, pay the gas bill?
Motion to pay for the gas.
There's a second, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Lott?
Nothing, Mr.
Oh,
Vice.
Mr. Lott. Sheriff?
Just a couple of quick things. I've got the billing for the month of May 2024 for MDOC outstanding in the amount of $4,631.13. If we could acknowledge that, please.
I make a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
The other item I have is an MOU and a housing contract with the National Park Service, Park Rangers. We've housed their inmates, well, before I was here. We have never had an MOU to do so. This is just to shore up legalities in the event that we have something happen to one of those inmates, as well as my manpower and MOU, much like we share with Ridgeland and Canton, Florida. I have both here. There are standard agreements. Our legal counsel, Charles Cowan, has reviewed those and has approved those. I will say that they did offer us $5 a day over what they were paying, so they did increase the housing fee a little bit for us, which I was grateful for. If you would allow me to sign those, they've got the
All right. There you go, Scott. All right.
I didn't mean to knock the power out with that.
That $5 increase.
Mr. Espy, if you had a chance to look at that contract?
No, Mike didn't. Charles Cowan did. Our law enforcement liability did.
And that's okay.
I'll be glad to provide Mike a copy. He can actually have these copies. And if you, maybe a motion pending his approval of the contract.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, I second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. And appreciate that, and that's just...
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I should have checked on that before. I apologize, Mike.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else, Sheriff?
That's it.
All right. Old business? New business? I know we have executive session, so do I have a motion to go into closed termination?
I make
Got a
that motion to
Supervisor
go
Banks?
into close
I'll-
determination.
I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
We need that 5-minute break.
All right, let's go into executive session first.
Okay, motion go executive session.
I make a motion for executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second?
What we going to executive session
We're
for?
going in, Mike?
Economic development.
Case?
Case? Yeah,
All in
Case
favor,
did.
say aye. All opposed? All right, we're in executive session.
Yeah, the Eagle Scout.
Motion to authorize the county to participate.
All right. Good deal. Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate it. Back out of the executive session. Mr. Lott, give us an update.
Yes, Mr. President. During executive session, the Madison County Board of Supervisors made a motion to authorize the county to participate with other governmental entities to seek federal funding for the West County Line Road project.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. Anything else?
That's all.
Greg?
Board, I do have one final thing for you today, and that is requesting approval on the final pay application for the Madison County fuel system upgrade at the Sheriff's Department. With this, the final pay app actually reduces the total cost by about $30,000, and it does conclude the fuel station project, making us one of very few, if not the only, in the state to have a functional, essentially, gas station for our Sheriff's Department or emergency management, as the case may be, depending on the situation.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Griffin. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Okay, if not anything else, do I have a motion?
Question for Mike.
Supervisor, Supervisor Griffin.
Really is on broadband internet. I know you told us that last meeting that we got, Comcast got approved for the rest of those homes, but we had asked you about getting a meeting with Comcast. Where is that at?
After we discussed it 2 weeks ago.
You may want to get on the phone there, the mic.
This is about the beam allocation to Comcast. That's the ISP Internet Service Provider for Madison County to connect 4,100 homes in northeast Madison County. Comcast was awarded $4.9 million by the BEAM program, and that fully funds
Right.
the $17 million we need to connect those homes. After the discussion 2 weeks ago, I reached out to Ronnie Colvin, who is our liaison with Comcast. We sort of celebrated word with words for 3 or 4 minutes, and I told him we needed him or someone from Comcast to present before the board to tell us where do we go from here. There is a current management contract agreement with Comcast, but it might be outdated. we need to update it to see where do we go from here. And he said yes, but we don't have a date yet. I called him again. He said he would here to meet with his engineers to give him direction, so he has the information he needs to come to us. So I could call him again. He's very cooperative. I think it's just an internal bureaucratic matter within a big company.
Right.
So I think, I said, you need to come to the board to talk to us, and we need the working group that the board has already assembled to actually sit down and go through the document. So it's not forgotten. We're waiting for an answer from Comcast.
Yep, and all that fine, so yeah, I suggest you call them again and just tell them that this supervisor is asking you to call him, because as of right now, and in my constituent base, and I don't much blame them, I can't go nowhere in Northeast Madison County now without them asking when is Comcast coming. So I got to push.
So our next meeting, I understand, our next meeting on July 15th, I will do my best to get a Comcast representative at the meeting. And he'll be open to answer questions, hopefully.
And when he comes, you're right, make sure he has the answers to those
Yes,
questions.
yes.
Okay, good deal. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn July 15th, 9 a.m.? I couldn't get a motion out of some of them now, everybody. Got a motion, Supervisor Brandon, second Supervisor Griffin. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed.
Griffin didn't open his mouth.
So then I had a cup full of coffee. I couldn't.
Motion by Supervisor Banks, second by Supervisor Banks. Yes.
Give me credit for getting out of here.
Yeah, and at least